Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 343. It is the fourth day of the week, aka the Buster Cannon workout. I am feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. Top 5! Yes, I want to do another top 5 video because this one's actually been on the back burner for like a month now, where I've thought about this for a while and I was like, I actually had to sit there and think about this, which is my top 5 albums of all time. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this was something I was thinking about doing for a while, and I actually sat there and I thought, what are my top 5? Because I could get to a top 10 relatively easily, but then shuffling the deck in order to see what the hell would be in the top 5 was a lot harder than I expected. So I sat there and toiled over it for like a good few days. Like, it wasn't necessarily something that I just sat there and only thought about, but it was something that I sat there, like every once in a while I would like toil upon it and then go away and then come back to it and then go away, and then I'd like see if the list held up or if I'd remember another album or something like that. And as well, album is an interesting way of putting it, because I think that my generation is probably the last generation where albums were more of an important thing. I think nowadays, ever since, well, my generation is when iPods became a huge deal, so thus the individual song became more of a deal rather than the album itself, which is an interesting just how things have changed. I mean, I think nowadays you would hear somebody say that here are my favorite songs, not necessarily my favorite albums, just because although it still might be the same, I don't think the concept of the album is necessarily more pertinent as it once was. I mean, just because of streaming and everything else. Sure, they are still there and still people buy them in its entirety, but I don't think that that's how the main mode of consumption of music works nowadays. I think that's just not how it is. So I think that my generation was the last one, and then after that the 99-cent song really kind of changed that entire landscape, at least in terms of when talking about a artist's work, really. But it all just depends, really, But with that being said, we will get into more discussion, as well as my list and maybe yours in the later comments section, I think. But anyways, yeah, we'll see all that when we get on the inside. Alright, so started this day off with leg curls, but anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand. Top 5 albums of all time. So, when thinking about this, 10 was easy. 5 was hard, to make sure that I got a little tiny piece of everything, and not necessarily everything, but I would say that this is probably more representative of albums that I would listen to front to back non-stop, either for, at this point, decades now, or are meaningful in some way, shape, or form, or all 3 is just what this list is. So I'm going to start, this one actually has an order. Unlike the other ones before, this has an order. So at number 5, I would have Audio Karate Space Camp. This is a great album. I love listening to it. I saw the band live. I still have a shirt with all of their signatures on it, somewhere hidden in my house somewhere, but I still have it. Very cherished memory. Very good stuff. Very good pop punk album. Number 4, Wake by Hail the Sun. Great album. Great timing in my life because I was going to school at the time. I was finishing up community college, so I would listen to the album all the time when going to classes and stuff, so I got to listen to it a lot, and it just dug into my brain for a while there, so very nice. Another album that was like that was number 3, Relativity by Emma Rosa. Very much a time piece, perfect, that I've been listening to for decades. Still listen to it while working out. All of these I listen to while working out, except for this next one, which is number 2, Coheed and Cambria, Good Apollo, Burning Star 4, Volume 1, Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. Jesus, that's the full title name. But this Coheed album, number 2 of all time, I would probably say, up there. Love it front to back. I remember vividly listening to it on the way to day trips to New York that I would do with my parents all the time. 100% love it. Probably still would listen to it on CD. That's how serious this was. And then my number 1 album of all time would be Downtown Battle Mountain 2.
perfect timing when I was growing up. I was basically meeting who would be my future wife at the time when this album was released. A lot of stuff was intermingling at this time with this album. This album also just happened to be just front to back one of my favorite albums of all time. I own it on vinyl and on CD. Probably one of the best ones that Dance Gavin Dance has ever made. I would say that I want to see Johnny Craig again in that band, but that's a whole other subject for a whole other day. But this was the pinnacle and also the most cherished album, I would say, because I also bonded with my future wife over this album. So it was just a perfect storm of everything going together. Plus the songs were amazing and great. So it generally was probably my favorite album of all time, and I would listen to all the songs no matter what. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that all of them have a top 5 song that I would like, because that changes a little bit, but that's for a different list for a different day.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercise is not filmed. None. Exercise is skipped. We have one, which was the hanging leg ab crunch. Yeah, like hanging ab crunch. I forgot what I even call it. That thing. The main reason why is because both stations were being used the entire fucking time I was there, which was kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand. My top 5 albums. My top 5 albums. The main reason why I wanted to discuss this today is because this was something that I had thought about for quite some time, and I was like, there are a bunch of things that I would put on here. So I was like, all right, let me actually make this an episode, because this was something that was interesting to me, at least. You know, there were some interesting parts to it, and that is that it does take a little bit for you to figure it all out. I mean, for all time, may something else sneak up in there? Possibly, but I think my 5 are so rock solid that I can't think of anything that could even come close to it, unless there's a life-changing album I have yet to hear, which is entirely a possibility, but I highly doubt it's going to happen. It's one of those things that's just not in the cards. Well, at least not that I think so, but never say never, right? But I am happy with my choices because, well, of course, they're my choices. I don't really care, you know what I mean? This is just more of me sharing of pieces of my life, not necessarily here to say yes or no to anything. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This was more of a random one, but I would also like to know your top 5 albums if you have them, and or if you can list them, because I can understand how this would be more of a challenging ask for people. It's not like movies or something like that. I feel like movies, there are certain ones you can kind of get down, but albums is a little tougher. But with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there and stay cool. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!